PNR Networks is a member of Patreon. Show your love for our shows by joining our ongoing fundraising campaign and get some fantastic perks in return. Check it out and become a Patreon sponsor. You can sign up at patreon.com, patreon.com/PNR Networks. And thanks for your support.
She just goes a little mad sometimes.
Do you ever feel like you're normal and the rest of the world has lost its collective mind?
Put your helmet on. We'll be reaching speeds of 3.
Do you find people saying this to you a lot?
Are you totally deranged?
Are you looking for a looking glass to pass through?
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Or looking for a rabbit hole to fall down?
Who could think of a better punishment, really? Everything's the same here, it's just a little worse.
Guess what?
Life's a bitch. Now so am I.
You've found it. Welcome to Platinum Rose's Garden.
Hello, my darlings. This is Platinum Rose Lady welcoming you to Platinum Rose's Garden on Sunday, April 21st, 2019. Happy Easter to those who celebrate. I hope everybody had a great week. I had a little sick thing happening earlier in the week, but I am better now. Like I mentioned, I hope everybody had a great Easter. I know everyone has probably heard about what happened in Sri Lanka. This is obviously a terrible thing to happen on Easter, and my heart and sympathies go out to the people of Sri Lanka, and those who lost their lives and their families and friends. You know, there's a saying, I love humankind, it's people I can't stand, and sometimes that's, you know, because Easter is supposed to be the happiest holiday in the Christian calendar. I mean, everybody thinks Christmas is everybody who's not Christian automatically assume, and actually some Christians assume that Christmas is the most happiest holiday, and it's a very happy holiday. It's a very important holiday. You know, the actual meaning of Christmas, not the gifts, not the trees, not the blah blah tinsel sparkly stuff, although that stuff is nice too. I'm not saying that I don't like, you know, tinsel and Christmas cookies and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and a Charlie Brown Christmas and all that stuff, because that's all great too, but you know, there's the actual heart of Christmas. You know, but Easter is actually the most important Christian holiday, at least for me. And I had a chance to celebrate last night at the church that I go to, and it was a really beautiful thing. It was really beautiful and amazing and hot because it's New England, and because in New England the weather decides to go, oh, you wanted to go outside and not have your hair look ridiculous. You're so cute. Because it was like super crazy hot for April in Massachusetts last night. It was like sticky, clammy kind of bleh weather. I mean, I walked outside to go, you know, head off to church, and I had my hair nice and combed and everything like that, looking great. Second I get outside, foomp, my hair goes all frizzy. And I'm like, I don't believe this. I can almost feel my hair getting frizzy. It was just that crazy. And then I get to church, and the church is absolutely packed. And, you know, they have candles and incense and things. It's a very important service, and they don't have the air conditioning on, and there's no breeze coming through the open windows. And I'm like, good grief, I'm hot. I'm so hot. This is ridiculous. And I can just feel my hair getting more and more foofy as the service is going on. And it's getting more and more down in my eyes, you know, because see, the thing with my hair, I don't know if a lot of people have this issue. Like, my hair just decides to do what it wants to do. My hair has always been like that. You know, for a while when I was in college, I had a spiral perm because my mother gave me the money to do that as a gift for Christmas one year. And so I had my hair in a spiral perm, and I couldn't do a dang thing with my hair. I would put it up in, you know, rubber bands, banana clips, barrettes, anything I could find to keep my hair like in some kind of semblance of order, and my hair would just go, you're cute. We're throwing that out. We're throwing that out. We're throwing that out. That's falling out. And I just had this mop of now curly hair, and I don't know how people with curly hair deal with that all the time, because you people out there who have naturally curly hair, you have way more stamina than I do, because curly hair is a pain. It's just, it is a pain. I mean, if you have it naturally, that's great. My hair is not naturally curly. So my hair decides, okay, you're going to make us go through all of this. We're going to not do anything you want. So that was a fun time for a while. Obviously, like I mentioned, Easter is a really beautiful time of year, and Easter actually leads into the next segment because, the site that I'd like you to check out this week has something to do with that very holiday. Kind of. Okay, the site I'd like you to check out this week, I'm actually going to, my husband is going to, this was actually his suggestion. I would like to give the props to my dear, sweet, long-suffering husband, TC, who has to put up with all of my lunacy, because I was talking with him about what I should do on my show this week for the upcoming, talking about what I'd like to show, talk with you guys about, a site that I'd like you to look at or something like that. And he brought up this site, and I was like, oh, that's a great suggestion. So it's his idea. So all of the kudos goes to him, unless you think it's a stupid site, in which case it's all his fault. That's called CYA, children. He is a fan of this site because they do this every year. Another newspaper carried it for a while, but they changed it over to a different newspaper. In the Washington, D.C. area, the Washington City paper for the last couple of years has been carrying the Peeps Diorama competition. Now, for those of you who are going, what the heck did she just say? There is this contest out there in this area of the country, involving Peeps. Now, I know everybody knows what a peep is. Peeps are those little marshmallow things that, they have them for every freaking holiday now. They have them for Christmas and Halloween and probably St. Swithin's Day or something. I don't know. But, Peeps started out as, and exclusively, I think, Easter candy. And they started out just being these little yellow chick marshmallow things. Ugh. Sorry, I don't do marshmallow, and Peeps just are not my thing. But some people out there apparently found some other way to make use of Peeps besides eating them or finding ways to destroy them. That's another thing, you see that a lot on the internet. People finding ways to destroy Peeps, and they're very difficult to destroy. You can run them over, you can put them in a microwave. I think the only way I saw so that you could actually completely destroy a Peep, somebody dipped it in liquid nitrogen and smashed it with a hammer. I'm like, okay. Yay, science. We'll go with that. But some other people have apparently found another use for Peeps, and that is the Peep Diorama contest. Now, what people do is they set up a bunch of Peeps in a diorama of whatever. You have people that have done Peeps, in a setting like Game of Thrones, or, and lots of them, they have a punny name. The name of the diorama is something with a pun in it. Now, me, loving puns, as I do, I'm all behind that totally. My husband actually came up with a really funny one. I am not going to say it on the air, though, because it's just wrong. If you guys want to know what it is, platinumroselle@yahoo.com. I'll tell you in a private email. I don't want to say it out loud just because the imagery that it puts in your head is so wrong. But the Washington City paper in Washington, D.C. has been hosting this contest for the last 2 years, and they have the dioramas up for the winners for this year and the people who won last year. So there will be a link to that site in my show notes, so you can go check them out and see some of the creative people out there who decide to do wondrous and creative things with Peeps, because who'd want to eat them? Blech. Give me chocolate. That's all I can say. And actually, we could all use some chocolate because the upcoming is this week's Supernatural episode recap. And anybody who thought that this season was going to get any more chirpy, you were wrong.
Carry on, my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done.
Season 14, episode 19 of Supernatural, Jack in the Box. The then portion is dealing with Jack, who has lost his soul, has had his soul burned away from all of the things that he's gone through, and is also at full power now, and is looking at the aftermath of what has happened the last couple of episodes, including the fact that Jack accidentally wound up killing Mary Winchester. And now we are at now, and we see Sam and Dean holding a wake for Mary, where Dean gives this very beautiful eulogy, and you can definitely tell it's, straight from his heart, and it's really amazing. And then all of a sudden a hatchet comes flying through the air and smashes into the head of one of the hunters at the funeral, and of the wake, I should say, and he falls to the floor, and it turns out that the hatchet was thrown by Apocalypse World Bobby, who we're going to call AU Bobby from now on. And we get the opening credits. As it turns out, the hunter was not actually a hunter, he was a wraith that had been part of a nest of wraiths that AU Bobby and Mary had cleaned out. I'm just going to call him Bobby from now on. We're just going to, because this is just getting confusing. Bobby says he thinks that he was there to gloat over Mary dying. He asks how Sam and Dean are doing, and Sam says that they're coping as best as they can. Sam wants to talk about what they've been through. Dean, surprise, does not. Because men, I love them, but they drive me insane. I mean, you can't live with them, can't leave them by the side of the road when you're done with them. We see Sam looking at an old photo of his mom and little teeny Dean, and Bobby wants to know what happened, how did Mary die, everything, and Dean says that he has to go outside. And Bobby finds out from, he's been hearing rumors about what happened with Mary, and he gets the truth from Sam and Cass. Cass's whole thing is they have to find Jack and they have to try and help him. Bobby is a little bit less on board with that train. He's of the opinion that, Jack is this super powerful being now that does not have a moral compass anymore because he doesn't have a soul. And that what they're probably going to have to do is take Jack down. We see Jack in this industrial facility. I don't know where he is. And he's just sitting there alone, scared, pleading for his mother to help him. And he keeps getting advice, or not, I don't know if you'd call it advice since it's not asked for, from this portion of his subconscious that looks like Nick/Lucifer, who keeps filling Jack's head with doubt, telling him Sam and Dean hate him now, telling him that all the Winchesters thought he was before Mary's death was a pet, and now they don't even feel that for him, that they hate him, that they're going to want to destroy him, all this stuff like that. We cut to some woods that are obviously somewhere not terribly far from the Batcave. I think they're far enough away that no one could walk in on seeing Dean doing what he's doing. And we see him sitting in the woods crying. And not just like single perfect man tear crying, actually sobbing, crying. And I have to be completely honest, that just broke my heart. I mean, all I wanted to do was take him in a huge hug and just run my fingers through his hair and tell him it's going to be okay. I know it hurts right now, and then not say a word and just let him cry and cry and cry if that's what he wanted to do. And I don't mean any of that in like a, sexual way or anything like that. I don't. I just feel like that's a human being. He's in pain. I want to comfort him because it's the right thing to do, Back, we see Castiel goes to heaven, and he's greeted in heaven by Duma, who tells him that now she's in charge, and that because the entity from the empty, the shadow, had invaded heaven, that the angels lost faith in Naomi being a leader, and that now she's in a cell. And then Castiel does something that I'm like sitting there going, no, why are you doing that? That's a terrible idea. He tells Duma what has happened with Jack, that Jack has his powers back, that he doesn't have a soul anymore, and that he's also on the run. And I'm just sitting there going, oh, sweet Caroline, this was a bad idea. You really should not have involved these people. Angels, whatever. We see Sam on his laptop searching for Jack, searching for anything weird that might indicate that would be where Jack is. And Dean's come back, and he's trying to talk to Dean. He's trying to reach out to Dean. He's talking about his mother and talking about how he knows. I mean, they know that God exists. They know that heaven exists. They know that Mary is in her perfect heaven, that she's with her soulmate John, and that she's happy. And I think Sam's trying, what Sam's trying to say without saying it is that he can't feel happy, even knowing that Mary is in heaven and at peace and happy and with John, because that's his mother and he wants her back. And it's so incredibly sad. And I don't want to say Dean is cut off. I don't want to say Dean is cutting himself off from Sam, but you definitely get the feeling, you could almost see Sam reaching, like physically reaching out with his hands, trying to touch his brother, and Dean like just putting up a wall, because that's how Dean copes. That's how Dean has always coped, because of John Winchester's A+ parenting, #sarcasm. And before anybody jumps down my throat, I do believe John loved his sons. I do believe John did the best he could for his sons. But, John being a guy, men, seriously, honestly, not kidding. We see Duma, who has found Jack, and talks with him about, it was an accident, what happened to Mary, it wasn't your fault, all this stuff like that. And at first I'm sitting there going, okay, here's the wind up, and here comes the pitch. And she's talking with him about how, there's forgiveness in heaven, and there's all this stuff like that. And then she starts talking about punishment. Not punishment in regards to Jack, but like ladling out punishment to people who don't believe and stuff like that. And I'm like sitting there going, oh boy. Yep, I was right. I'm like, there's the wind up and there's the pitch. We cut to a college that it turns out is in Ohio, and the office of a doctor, who is a doctor of something in the college. His name is Dr. Tate. He winds up getting a visit from Duma and Jack. This doctor is apparently an atheist and has written a bunch of books talking about how God doesn't exist and blah, 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 blah. Faith sucks, the whole thing. Which people have a right to write stuff like that. People also have a right to say, well, okay, that's a really not very nice thing to say, and I'm not going to read your book. it's called choice. Duma is of the opinion that this needs to quit and tells Dr. Tate in no uncertain terms, you are not going to write these books anymore, and you're going to go out there and you're going to tell all the people who listen to you and buy your book, yeah, I was wrong. Everything I said was wrong. God exists and you should all worship him right now. Because that's the way to get people to come to God, is to scare them into it. The doctor, and when, Jack brings up that, oh, by the way, God is my grandfather and Lucifer is my father, and the doctor thinks that he's dealing with crazy people, hashtag okay, and goes to call security. That ends badly. And Jack winds up killing the doctor by turning him into a pillar of salt. Original. Sorry. Castiel comes back to the Batcave and reports to Sam and Dean what he's heard in heaven, about, and what he told Duma, and all, that he was told by her that heaven's going to keep an eye out for Jack and help out where they can and all this stuff like that. Dean ain't buying a second of it. Sam, needless to say, is on his laptop because it's Sam, and finds out about Dr. Tate and what happened to him, and also finds out about another death, the death of a woman in Texas who was a televangelist and a faith healer who was being investigated for scamming people for money and stuff like that. What, a dishonest televangelist? Shut up. Hashtag sarcasm. And she died by literally being swallowed up by the earth, as in witnesses described that the earth opened up, swallowed her, and closed up again. Now, I don't know that much about sinkholes, but I'm pretty sure they don't work that way. However, there is a portion of the Bible where it's mentioned that someone who was false and, being a false healer and false, all that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, I don't know my Bible as well as I should. I know I don't. I know. Anyway, that it's said in the Bible that someone that was guilty of the same things this woman was guilty of was also swallowed up by the earth. I wonder what's going on. Could it be Duma using Jack as her own personal pit bull? Well, since we saw what happened in the doctor's study or office in Ohio at the college, I would say the answer to that question is yes. And I don't need a magic 8-ball to know it. So back up in heaven, Duma is talking with Jack and telling Jack that all the stuff he's doing is good, and that Sam and Dean would be happy with what he's done. That's not quite the word she uses, because she's not lying to Jack by saying, she says like something to the fact that they'd be beyond words or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's you're not wrong. And she says that, heaven is running out of angels. There aren't as many angels as there were before, because of the whole Metatron thing and the fall and all that. Although she doesn't go into that with Jack. She says that Jack could make a human into an angel. To which I'm like, say what now? What? And so she brings him to heaven's throne room and tells him, that's where your grandfather would sit and listen to all the prayers of all the people in the world. Clear your mind and sit in the chair and listen. And so he sits on the throne of heaven, which seems like that's a big old slice of blasphemy right there. And he starts to hear prayers. All of them. Like everybody praying all at once. And you have people who are praying for everything from, really serious things. Someone's ill, someone's dying, someone needs guidance, someone's lost, someone's scared, someone wants a football team to win the Super Bowl. That's not the Patriots. Rude. Hashtag Patriots Nation. And so he's hearing all these prayers, and we cut from one of the prayers he's hearing, and we're at where that place is, which is a church. And there's a lady on the stage of the church, and there's like it looks like almost like not the actual church part, but like another room in the church kind of a deal. And she's like talking about they're like a prayer circle, and they're like studying the Bible, study group kind of deal. And they're studying the book of Samuel. Haha. Hashtag irony. And Jack appears and asks the people there if they want to go to heaven and become angels. And naturally, all the people are like, yes. I don't know if I would be that quick to be like, do I want to go to heaven now? Right now? I mean, you'd like to think we're as Christians, we're told we're not made for this world. We are made for the next world, but still, it's a bit abrupt. And the pastor of the church, who was not in the room when all of this started, because, Jack these people are a little bit like, what the heck is this guy doing? And, he lets his eyes glow and his wings appear, the shadow of his wings and all that, and they realize, oh my gosh, this is, if not the real deal, at least somebody who seems to be from heaven. Pastor Ames, who is the pastor of the church, comes in and is really like, what the heck is this? I think he's not sure if Jack is a crazy person or if Jack is some kind of maybe evil spirit trying to tempt these people by pretending to be a good spirit or something like that, and he's like, no, these people aren't going anywhere with you. And Jack throws him to the ground and says a Bible verse about being eaten by worms and then breathing his last breath. And the guy goes into this spasm, and all of a sudden we see worms coming out of these lacerations on his face and his skin, and it's extremely gross. And he's conscious and aware, and he sees all the people that were in the church, they're gone. Jack took them to heaven. We cut to the hospital where this guy has been brought to, because amazingly enough, he's not dead. And Sam and Dean and Cass are there in their Fed outfits, and they interview the pastor in the hospital. And he tells them what he saw, the whole thing with Jack and the worms and the whole, the people disappearing and the whole thing. He says that he did tell the cops that, but the cops said he was crazy. I don't know why the cops would think he was crazy. I mean, the guy probably still had worms coming out of him or whatever. Dean's only response is get well soon. I was like, wow. That was like Captain Cold level cold, Dean. I know you're distracted, but crying out loud. And they leave the room, and they definitely know they are dealing with Jack with this. And question, why couldn't Castiel heal him? I'm sorry, am I missing something? Or is Castiel still like low powered or something like that? I don't understand why he couldn't just touch the guy and just heal him. Because after they leave, we see another worm coming out of the guy's mouth. We're assuming that he dies or is about to die. And then we deal with Dean's plan. I don't know when Dean came up with this plan. I have a feeling it might have been earlier in the episode, but he's been waiting to talk to Sam and actually verbalize it. Dean's plan for Jack is to lock Jack in the Malak box, which he had made for himself to lock himself away with if he couldn't control Michael. His whole idea is that because he can't, Sam brings up like, well, we're just going to throw him in there, and Dean brings up that they can't throw him in there. Jack has to go in there willingly. And the way they're going to do that is based on a lie. Dean's plan is that they will tell Jack that they are close to coming up with a way to get his soul back, but that he needs to go into the box until the spell is ready. And Sam is really horrified by this, and I think Sam gets even more horrified when Dean's whole thing is, you have to convince him, Sam. Dean's whole thing is that he feels like if he tries to convince Jack to do this, that he'll know that something's wrong. That Sam will be the one that has to contact Jack and get him to go along with this. And I'm sitting there going, wait a cotton picking minute. I was like, this is when my guts started to churn. I mean, I'll get to my feelings in a little bit, but this was the point where I definitely started to feel sick. We see Castiel going to the playground where there's the doorway to heaven, and something's not right. There's like snow on the ground and stuff, and I'm like, why is it snowing? It's April. I mean, I know it's April and it's Kansas, but I don't know what the weather's like in Kansas in April, sorry. But I'm like, there shouldn't be snow. That's not right. And there's a guy standing there. He looks like, like a person that's, down on their luck, kind of, and they got the fire a trash can going kind of deal, to warm themselves, which they don't need because their name is Eremiel and they're an angel. And Castiel says that he wants to go to heaven and he needs to speak with Duma, and Eremiel's like, heaven's closed. And Castiel's like, no it's not, I was just there. And Eremiel's like, oh my bad, let me explain it again. Heaven is closed to you. And Eremiel takes out his angel blade. So apparently we're going to have issues. We cut back to heaven where Jack has brought all of the people that he took from the church, and they're all standing there, and he walks to each person and he's touching them on the head, and all of a sudden their eyes flash, and a lot of them get this kind of bright smile on their face, and they're kind of looking around, and I guess they're angels now, which I'm like, what? Okay. Eremiel appears, and Duma's not really happy to see him, and then he's suddenly thrown aside because you can tell Castiel came up here using Eremiel. He obviously beat him in a fight with angel blades. And Jack is happy to see Cass and telling him that, I'm making new angels and all this stuff like that. And Castiel, it's Cass, so there's no actual rage at this point, but he is furious, and he tells Duma he wants to speak to her privately now. We see Jack going back to turning people into angels, and but as this is going on, we see Sam at a table in the back cave, and he's got his hands folded, and Dean's almost kind of standing over him like he's, I don't want to say in a menacing way, but it didn't feel healthy, put it that way. And Sam starts to pray to Jack. He's saying that, that they're family, and sometimes bad things occur in families, but that the Winchesters want to talk to him, that they want to try and get through what happened, and that, their mother would want them to talk, that Jack's mother would want them to talk, that they would want things to be like they were, that's what the Winchesters want. And Jack hears all of this, and out in the hallway, Castiel is absolutely enraged at what Duma is doing, saying that she's terrifying humans into loving God, not teaching people to love God because God is love, that she's stripping heaven of the mercy that it had, and she's completely unrepentant, and she says that heaven never had mercy, and that she's saving heaven and all this other stuff like that, and that she can control Jack. And then Duma makes the biggest mistake of all, when Castiel makes it very clear that he is taking Jack and leaving because this is not working. She tells Cass that she's in control of heaven now, and she's in control of Mary and John's happiness, and that if Castiel doesn't back off, she's going to destroy their happiness with just a snap of her fingers. And the second that leaves her mouth, Castiel, you don't even see Castiel's angel blade come out. He just straight out stabs her to death. I mean, it's just boom, done. And you know what? To take something that we do, those of us who are wrestling fans, y'all will understand this. For Duma and what happened to you, you deserve it. You deserve it. It's stuff like that that makes you remember that Castiel can honestly be a bad mother beep when he wants to be. Jack appears in the Batcave, and he's happy to see Sam and Dean. He says that he heard Sam praying, that he was happy, that he didn't think he'd ever see them again. And he tells them what he's been doing, that he's been working with the angels and making angels. But he says that he really missed Sam and Dean. And Dean says that we missed you too. And that they need to clear things up. And Jack says that he knows that everything has been bad, and that if it helps Sam and Dean at all, he feels badly about what he refers to as the accident. And Sam's a little bit like, I don't know, Sam almost acts like he kind of repeats it like he almost didn't hear the word accident, like he's trying to kind of hold it together. And I almost kind of wonder if he's trying to hold it together so Dean won't jump across in front of him and just mangle Jack. I'm not really sure. Jack continues, and he's, saying what happened to your mother, and, that she was talking about my soul, and that I didn't have a soul, and that she kept pushing. Dean's response to that is, oh, so she made you do it? And you can tell in Dean's voice, and everybody in the audience is going, say no, Jack, say no, Jack, say no, Jack. And Jack's like, no, it was me. But I didn't want this no soul thing to become an issue between us. I guess I snapped. Before I knew it, it was all over. And Dean's response is it being the accident. And he is just, there is so much barely controlled rage in Dean's voice. I mean, it's really kind of frightening. Sam, I mean, I don't know if Sam is angry as much as he is stunned. I kind of wonder if that's because Sam is looking at Jack and seeing Jack without a soul, and Sam's maybe remembering what he was like when he didn't have a soul, and thinking to himself, is this what I was like? Was I this scary? And Dean says that, they forgive him and all this stuff like that. And he also tells Jack that what they're going to need to do now is they're going to need to keep Jack safe. That not only, because Jack's powers are, he might hurt somebody else with his powers, or somebody might try and, hurt him. And Sam's going along with this, even though you can tell Sam would rather, probably swallow a cup full of ash at this point. Volcanic ash or something sharp. They take Jack into the room where the Malak box is, and they explain that they need him to go in the box for a little while, because they're working on this spell to bring his soul back and all this stuff like that, but he needs to go in there for right now because that will keep him safe and it will keep other people safe. And he says, okay. So Jack climbs into the box and asks when he will be able to come out. And Sam tells him that it won't be long. And I'm just sitting there going, no. I'm just sitting there going, no, please don't do this. Please don't. Jack lays down. Dean shuts the lid and locks up the Malak box. And Sam gives him a look of utter disgust at this whole situation and walks out of the room. When we come back, Jack is in the box and calling out to Sam and Dean. And I don't know if they can hear him because they're in another room now. I almost want to say that they can because it is killing the both of them. Although I think Dean's got it really severely buried. As, you know, Dean says, like, they knew that it was from the beginning that, you know, it was that they, I mean, hell, at one point, Dean said, you know, if it comes down to killing you, I'm going to be the one to do it. He said that to Jack, which we find so very hard to believe when this is the same Dean that was, you know, teaching him how to do things and taught him to drive and did all this other stuff, and that they knew it was a long shot. And Sam says, yeah, the long shots are kind of our thing. And we cut back to the box, and not Nick actually, is now we see he's in the box with Jack and telling Jack that he is just screwed, that he's too trusting and he's screwed. Castiel comes in and tells the Winchesters what happened in heaven, and they tell him what they had to do to Jack. And we cut back to the box, and not Nick is telling Jack to, you know, that he's trapped, that you don't know that they're going to be able to get you a soul, that, you know, you're too clueless, you know, you're clueless, and that the Winchesters, you know, that they tricked you and they suckered you, and the reason that you're in here is because you're not useful to them, and also because you killed their mom, and that there, you know, that there's no chance of redemption from that, and that you're going to be stuck in this box forever. Jack starts to, I don't know if panic is the right word, but his eyes start to glow yellow, and the box begins shaking, and not Nick is pushing him to use his powers even more. In the other room, Dean and Sam have to try and explain themselves to Cass. Cass is really not happy with this idea. He accuses the Winchesters of manipulating Jack just as Duma was manipulating him. We cut back to the box, and Jack's eyes are glowing really, really brightly, and as not Nick is laughing, the box starts to shake, it starts to glow. The wards around it are getting super, super hot from the inside out, and then there's just like this sound of just utter chaos, and like the lights start going off and on, the red light comes on, the building's shaking. The Winchesters and Castiel run down to the room where the box was. The Malak box is lying on the ground. It is a twisted hunk of torn up metal. This box, this container that was supposed to be able to hold the Archangel Michael prisoner, is now a hunk of torn up metal on the floor. The room is full of smoke or mist or something, or dirt, dust, I don't know. And we see Jack standing there in the dark, and his eyes are burning with power, and they're not, you can't see pupils or anything, they're just burning this bright color. And Sam very softly says, Jack? And the screen goes dark. I give Jack in the Box 4 bouquets out of 5. Very powerful episode, very scary episode. I'm glad Duma's dead. And I would like to talk about something that's really, really bothering me. There has been a lot of stuff on Twitter, as far as I know, just Twitter. I don't know about Tumblr or Facebook or any place else because I don't check that far. I'm lucky I can go on Twitter and not break my phone because electronics and me are not besties. But since this episode aired, there has been a crap ton of hating on Dean. And some of that hate has bled over from people who can apparently not tell the difference between Dean Winchester, a fictional character, and Jensen Ackles, the actor who plays said fictional character. And people have been sending truly hateful tweets to Jensen and saying really hateful things about Dean. Now, I am going to do this in a grown-up way, which is very weird for me. I have to admit that. Simply because it would be very easy for me right now to, actually it would, since Lent's over and I gave up, I did give up cursing for Lent, so I actually, since Lent is done, if I wanted to curse all I want to now and call you people a bunch of fickle mother beep, and that you're, all this other stuff like that, I could do that, but I'm not going to. I am going to be a rational, calm adult for a change, and I'm not going to scream, and I'm not going to yell, and I'm not going to bully. Hopefully I don't bully anyway. And I'm not going to say people aren't entitled to their opinion. If you are angry with the character of Dean Winchester right now, I get it. But Dean Winchester, as much as you all would like to have it happen, is not real. Jensen Ackles is a real person. Sending hate to Jensen Ackles about the way a writer wrote some lines in a script for Jensen to say, sending Jensen hate is stupid. It's just stupid. Getting angry at Dean over what he wanted to do. What I'd like to ask all you geniuses and all you Mensa members out there who are so angry and so butthurt with Dean's idea, what exactly would you have done if you were in Dean's shoes? At least he was trying to think of a way to try and help Jack. I'm not saying it was the best way in the world. I'm not saying it was even a rational idea. Because let's be honest, since we know that the result of a human and an angel mating is going to be more powerful than the angel, obviously a human and an archangel mating is going to produce something that's even more powerful than the archangel. And that's scary enough as it is, if you're not even talking about someone right now who doesn't have a soul. So, considering that Dean's first idea wasn't, let's get the Colt and blow his head off, like I said, I'm not saying that I was sitting there going, no, Dean, please don't do this. Please, 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 please. But seriously, what in the name of all that is decent and holy would you have wanted him to do? And I know that Sam is upset with him, and I know Sam is upset with himself. And I gotta be honest, I love Dean Winchester. I do. I love Dean Winchester. Right now, I don't like him very much. But I also understand him. He's grieving. And I don't know if his idea of putting Jack in the Moloch box was done out of a sense of, we need to try and do something to contain him, or I want him to suffer for killing my mother. I don't know. I admit I don't know. But hating on Dean sucks. Hating on Jensen just shows that you are a crap human being. Quit it. Okay. Any remarks or anger or whatever that you want to send my way, platinumroselle@yahoo.com, I will deal with it. Believe me, I have been called worse by more people. Next week's episode is the season finale for Supernatural, Mariah. Now, for those of you who don't know what Mariah is, spoiler alert, because I'm going to tell you. Moriah was the mountain in the Bible. Moriah was the mountain that Abraham and Isaac went to, where Isaac was supposed to be sacrificed by Abraham as proof that Abraham loved God even more than his own son. Also, spoiler alert, at the end of that part of the Bible, according to what the Bible said, Isaac was saved because an angel came down from heaven and told Abraham, don't kill your son, and God sees how much you love him, and you're going to have generations upon generations bearing your name. So it all ended okay. So obviously the season finale of Supernatural is going to end with sacrifice. Of what or whom, I don't know. But I think we all need to just try and hold on. Okay, cats and kittens, or bunnies and chicks, or whatever else is out there. I hope you enjoyed my show this week. If you have any questions, comments, queries, complaints, want to tell me you think I'm right, want to tell me to jump in a lake, whatever, platinumroselle@yahoo.com. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you can find me at platinumroselady at twitter.com. You can also find my fiction work at fanfiction.net. In the author search, look up Platinum Rose Lady. If you would like to like, share, and subscribe to my stuff and tell people that it's out there, I would be super grateful. And if you'd like to check out other members of our Island of Misfit Toys, those would include Subject Cinema, 3 Minute Weekend, Tuesday Digidex, Front Row 5 and 10, Catastrophe, Vortex, Cavebabble, Ring Around the Rosie, our buddy Anthony Lamberti over on YouTube at Aunt B's Nerd Grotto. We also have a Patreon. If you'd like to subscribe to our Patreon, and for $5, you can get all kinds of neat stuff, including my Patreon exclusive podcast, Kaiju Corner, which is a podcast that I do about monster movies, because that's something else I'm super passionate about. So, that is going to end my show for the week, and this is Platinum Rose Lady signing off and reminding you to love the ones you hug the ones you love, take some time to stop, smell the roses, and don't hog all the good Easter candy. See you later. Bye-bye.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.